Louisiana Beer Reviews looks at Mikkeller Wit Fit. You will have a wit fit if you drink this. 6.2% alcohol. Now the website Shelton Brothers says 7.5, but that is not the case on this can. Now Mikkeller, being a gypsy brewer, goes from place to place. It says brewed and canned by Sly Fox Brewing of Pottstown, Pennsylvania, for Mikkeller. Okay, now 6.2. That's a little stronger, maybe than your average wit beer. There's only one written review on Beer Advocate for this beer. There are 2 written reviews on Rate Beer, so it's not going to be, there's not going to be any average rating, because it has to be 10 for it to even register. And this is the first video review for this beer in the world. And I bought this at Arquista Paces, and it's only available in cans according to the Shelton Brothers website. Well, oh, that is a very thick, off-white, soapy head. It's making a little crackle. You can hear it over that heater. This is so cloudy and so chunky and so bubbly. If you like chunks in your beer, then this is the one to have, because it looks like breakfast cereal. A gruel. This is like gruel. I think a lot of people would not be attracted to this beer. Now, how this showed up at Arquista Pace, I couldn't tell you. We get all kind of oddball beers around here in southeastern Louisiana. Okay, here's a Budweiser bottle from Texas. If you go to Texas, and this is from 1997, I bought it in Texas. If you go there, they have basically every big major brand has a Texas version of their bottles in cans. So you could almost make a whole bottle and can collection of just Texas themed stuff. And it's the same thing with automobiles. They'll have like Texas edition trucks and whatever. It's like a whole other country. This aroma is very rich. Let me see if I can describe it adequately here at 9:30 in the morning. It's sweet. There's lemony. The can makes it look like it's going to be lemony. And it smells lemony. Well, it says spices, right? So maybe they have lemon. I mean, I couldn't find any description of the spices or the ingredients at all. But it's like lemony, spiciness of some sort. But it's not overly done. Some of these spice beers is like you have a mouthful of spice. No, this is beer with spices, not spiced with beer. And you get a lot of white bread. Okay, let's go with the flavor of this chunkicity in my Aventina's wheat glass. Now those chunks are like rotting together. It's really weird. It's like the carbonation is making them run together. They're little chunks. They're tan color. This is a remarkably bitter beer. White wheat bread, some low-level spices. They're there, but they're not overwhelming. The lemony aspect. Can't really say any banana or coriander though. And a lot of bitterness, and I mean bitter bitterness. Not so much hot bitterness, but just sort of like a jarring bitterness. Maybe with like grapefruit, like if you had a grapefruit that was like overly bitter, you know, you'll get you'll get a grapefruit sometimes, it'll be overly bitter, it's unpleasantly bitter. And that's the way this is. This is just like, you know, you get like Hop Stupid, which I might revisit. Hop Stupid is showing up around here again. That's pleasantly bitter. Now they tout the 102 IBUs, does not taste that bitter. But this one is just like, The mouthfeel is medium. The finish is puckering, bitter, mostly dry, and harsh. This is sort of like, I don't know what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to make like an IPA, a double IPA wit beer, okay? You know, because everything's got to be IPA bitter today, and it's like everybody wants to one-up everybody else. So in a way, this is like the worst of it. You know, it's like all the things come together to make badness. It does have some wateriness of a wheat beer. It has the bitterness of an IPA, but in an unpleasant way. It's got a fruitiness and a grapefruit character starting to develop. I think they do add citrus to it. Well, I think you do a lot better just getting some grapefruit fresh and putting some sugar on it and eating that with some coffee. If you want a wheat beer, I was just watching Weihenstephaner Hefeweiss beer. Get something good like that. Don't get this. This is inferior. Okay, let's look at it this way. I have some Shock Top in the refrigerator. I had some Blue Moon last month. This is vastly inferior to anything that Blue Moon or Shock Top is making, you know. Those sub-units of Coors and Anheuser-Busch. So compared to those beers, this is not enjoyable. It's unpleasant to drink, and it's going to be a chore to get rid of it. I'm not going to waste it, but this makes Shock Top look like an A+, an outstanding beer, which it is not. This is a D. You know, I'm going to say D-. It's almost undrinkable. So, yeah, craft beer is fun. Craft beer is interesting, but sometimes craft beer is an abysmal failure, and this is one of them. Has to be one of the worst craft beers I've ever had, and I've had quite a few bad ones. Maybe it's still only like 5% of the ones I've had that are really bad. You know, 15% are kind of, but you know, 80% are really good. Now, Camaro, the third generation from 1982 by Michael Lamb. This is an original copy. It's in great condition, 33 years old. It's an interesting book because this book was written, December 81, excuse me. This book was written before the Camaro debuted, the third generation Camaro, and which was, if I remember correctly, a late debut. It was like a mid-year, like I'm thinking April '82, because there were some kind of production issues. Not to say problems, it just took a long time to develop it. They were so careful developing this car, and it's all about how they developed it. They show the clay models. You know, when Camaro came out in '67, for that '67 model year, it was a kind of a hurry-up car. They threw it together because they were trying to compete with the Mustang, which caught them off guard so bad. So they hurried up and put out Firebird and the Camaro, Pontiac Firebird and Camaro. So that first generation, I'm not saying it was a bad car or anything. It was just it was a quick thing, and it only lasted 3 years. And then they really developed. They wanted to develop something really carefully, you know, quite carefully. So they came out with the second generation Camaro in '70, and that was a late introduction, late model year introduction, and that lasted until '81 model year. And I had an '81 Berlinetta, by the way, once. It was really a fun car to drive. But and then, you know, with the CAFE standards and other environmental requirements and insurance and everything, your horsepower deteriorated throughout the '70s, and there really wasn't any true performance Camaros, Firebirds, or Mustangs, not to mention any other cars. So although the handling improved, the '77 Camaro Z28, while it wasn't particularly powerful in horsepower, they said it was, I think Motor Trend said it was the best handling car General Motors had ever put on the market at the time. Well, then 82 is important because it came out with Camaro, the third generation. Here's one of the first prototype coming off the assembly line. And they really wanted to be careful with it, and so they followed the old model. They had a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, base model Camaro, your everyday driver. Those were marketed towards women. Go into the grocery store. That was always the model, Lee Iacocca model with Mustang, and that you would have a everyday driver. And it was a very durable engine, 2.5 liter Iron Duke, the Iron Duke Pontiac engine, and first it was fuel injected too. I think in Canada first, later in the U.S. But so that only lasted 5 years, a 4-cylinder, because people just didn't buy them, even though they were reliable and they had pretty good true power, real world power. They eventually disbanded that to go with V6 and V8. Other thing about the Camaro, here's a kind of a stage photo getting pulled over by the California Highway Patrol. It was the first year of when they brought back the power. 5.0, crossfire injection, 1982 model year. So then they figured out how to make more efficient engines with power that would fall within the government CAFE standards. So you had the Mustang high output 1982. Remember the GT, and their tagline was "The Boss is Back." Camaro 82 with crossfire injection, Firebird up, Trans Am with crossfire, and then so since 1982 we've had this horsepower war, and that kind of was off the charts from 72 to 82, but it came back. So, and the horsepower wars today are much more intense than in the past. You've got your your Dodge Challenger, what is it, 700 horsepower. Anyway, here's a Camaro Berlinetta, a very beautiful car. Anyway, that's a fascinating book. You know, I read every bit of it. So, thank you for watching this video production. I cannot recommend this beer. I would say run from it. You'll hate it. It's ghastly. It's horrible. And y'all come on down to New Orleans.